All right, we're here with Sebastian LeCause, who has graciously agreed to sit down and interview with us. Why don't you tell us a little bit of how you got started, and everyone recognizes you probably from Rocky Horror and a bunch of other projects. So why don't you start from the beginning and take us to today?
Okay. Well, I started off as a dancer when I was 6 years old. And that was my first love. And I started working when I was 18. I got into the dance program at Tisch in NYU, and I'm from Ohio, so as soon as I graduated from high school, I went right to New York and went to NYU, which was amazing, but it was distracting because I started auditioning and then I started working. So I took a year leave of absence from school and started working, and clearly never went back because I just kept working, and eventually made my way out to Los Angeles, and that's where I spent the bulk of my dance career in my 20s, living and working in Los Angeles and doing a bunch of films and award shows. Let's see, I did Showgirls was like a big one. I had a small speaking role in that, as well as danced in all the numbers. And I also did, a film you probably haven't heard of called Lord of Illusions, another film called North that Reba McEntire was in, Batman and Robin, a movie, a Schwarzenegger movie that called Eraser that Vanessa Williams was also in. And then I did a bunch of award shows, like backup dancing. I worked for Madonna and Prince and Tina Turner, and did the Academy Awards a couple times, and the Billboard Awards. I worked with Adam Shankman, who's a big director now, and he was just choreographing, and Marguerite Derricks and Debbie Allen, and even Robin Anton, who started the Pussycat Dolls. That was really, really fun. I actually worked with the Pussycat Dolls when they were doing their shows at the Viper Room before they got their record deal and all that kind of stuff. So that was what I was doing. And then I got my first Broadway show, which was in 1997, which was the revival of Once Upon a Matress with Sarah Jessica. So I left LA and went to do that. And then ended up doing another show at Hartford Stage called Fascinating Rhythm, which was like a bunch of dancers and singers and sort of like a review type of show. And then I went back to LA. And I had actually done the first national tour of Kiss of the Spider Woman prior to that, right after I worked with Madonna on the 1995 Brit Awards, and I went right from the Brit Awards to working with Cheetah on the tour, which was really kind of fun. I was blonde just for the rehearsals, and they had to dye my hair back to its natural color because a blonde on Kiss the Spider Woman probably would have looked a little distracting and not period. So I had this great career as a dancer. I worked with, I basically had sort of really achieved all of my goals, my dreams, from working on Broadway to working with Madonna to things I didn't even know, like doing the Academy Awards and working with Liza for the first time on the Oscars actually, and all that kind of stuff, and it was amazing. And then actually, the second time I did the Oscars was sort of like a turning point for me as an artist, because I thought to myself, how many times can I do the Oscars? As amazing as they are, I'm now repeating jobs. So something inside of me clicked, and I knew that it wasn't enough creatively for me anymore. So I left LA and moved to New York to transition into acting, which is not an easy task, especially when you're established as a dancer in the business, because casting directors and the industry are, they're very creative, but they're not so creative when it comes to performers. You are, to them, what you have been. You know what I mean? So I was a dancer, so to them, that's what I was. I was a dancer. So to change their idea and perception of me was going to be very, very difficult. And I realized that because I was back in New York, and I got into the revival of Chicago just a couple weeks after I moved here, which was fantastic. And I was studying at Michael Howard Studios, which is an acting studio, which was great. And then I went from Chicago, and then I did my second job with Liza, which was Minelli on Minelli, which was fantastic. And then we went on tour for like 2 months. It was a really great tour, but then Liza wasn't doing that great, so they ended up canceling the tour. So that was another moment. I was like, okay, I need to make more changes. I was like, they're not going to call me in for roles if I'm dancing in the chorus of shows. That's just how I felt and how I saw it. Am I sweating? I'm feeling a little.
You're good. You're good.
I'm moist a little bit. So I decided, okay, more change has to happen for me. And this is my path. It's different for everyone. But this is just what my instincts were telling me. I needed more change. So I needed to, at that point, I felt I needed to do something drastic, which was kind of remove myself from the business. So I stopped going to dance calls, and really that's it, stopped going to dance calls. And just threw myself into acting and was studying and working really hard doing that, and got my first survival job because I had worked in the industry since I was 18 in the business as a dancer. So I started bartending and studying acting and just threw myself into it, and eventually started doing plays in the city. Now, this is where my relationships with casting directors came in handy, because they did know me. So I was able to then get people to start coming to see my shows. And then slowly but surely, they realized that I was serious, that I wasn't going to be dancing anymore, and that I was really going to pursue acting and roles and leads. And then when they were coming to see my plays, they realized that maybe I had some ability. So they slowly started calling me in, and then I started booking jobs. And my first acting job was in 2004, when I did the first regional production of the Richard Greenberg play, Take Me Out, and I played the lead, Darren Lemming, which was amazing. Is such an overused word, but it just was amazing. It was an amazing experience, because when I saw that play on Broadway, it was the first time I had seen myself reflected in a character. And what I mean by that is my background. I'm black and white, and I'd never really seen that anywhere before. And so to go to see a play on Broadway where the lead character was biracial was huge. And so I knew that I had to play that role. So that was a big moment for me, getting to play that. And then eventually I just kept working and doing a lot of regional theater, working at Arena Stage a couple of times, doing some great shows there. She Loves Me, I played Stephen Kodai, and She Loves Me. And most recently I played El Gallo on their production of The Fantastics, and I did a new show called Dancing in the Dark out at the Old Globe Theater. I also did a show at the Kennedy Center called Carnival, where I played Marco, which was another incredible experience. So I was, finally getting great roles in theater. It was very, very exciting. And that's what I had been doing for the past couple of years. And then also after that, and then I went on tour with the Chorus Line and played Zach, which was another sort of like iconic role for me to play, because that show inspired me as a young dancer, and had a profound effect on me when I saw the movie first. So the movie was my introduction to that show. I did a Chorus Line, which was great, but then I was theater, great. So then I also realized that I really wanted to work on camera, and right before I did a Chorus Line tour, I did a showcase in New York for the network ABC. And all the networks do these showcases. They call them diversity showcases, because they it's great if you're ethnically diverse because they look for actors that they can champion and get behind and showcase them to the industry, which is great. So I did that, and then I just really wanted to do TV. So that's really what my focus has been for the past couple of years. Again, it's just I feel that something inside of me starts, clicking or talking to me when it's always time to make a change or a shift or rethink something in my career, and then I just move in that direction, and it's been great. So I've been doing on-camera stuff for the past couple of years, doing a couple of TV shows and some films, and I've roles in 2 movies that are coming out this year. One is an independent movie called Keep the Lights On that just premiered at Sundance, not just a couple months ago now, in January. And then it went on to win the Teddy Award at the Berlin Film Festival, which is like the top prize. It's called Keep the Lights On. And it's going to premiere in New York at the Tribeca Film Festival next month, which is really exciting because I haven't seen it yet. So I'm really excited about that. And then I have a smaller role in a studio movie called Premium Rush that stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's an actor from Third Rock from the Sun, and he's been doing a bunch of films lately. So that's what I have coming up. And then sort of my big thing that I realized this past year was how important it is to spearhead your own projects. So I wrote an 8-episode web series called Hustling, and I directed it and produced it, and of course wrote it and cast it and shot some of it, and it was a life-changing experience because I had never been so in complete control over anything artistically before. As a dancer and as an actor, you're a part of the director's vision, so you're there to help facilitate his dream or his vision. So this was just great to have so much creative control, and it taught me not only, it showed me that I have more control over my career as an artist, because I think before that moment I felt like many of my friends and many people that I know who are artists, that we feel like our futures or our career paths are left up to other people's decision makings or fate. So, and I knew that producing your own stuff or writing your own stuff was an important piece of the puzzle, but you can't force it. It has something, for me anyway, it has to happen organically. So this was just a really big lesson in how important it is to do that, and it's been a really exciting season, and it was received really well. It won a couple of awards. For the first time in my acting career, I was recognized and won an award for acting for my show, which is exciting. Just to be recognized for something that you've created yourself is cool. So it's been a really, really great experience working on Hustling. And that's sort of my career in a nutshell.
And now, what advice would you offer to people, since you are so established and you've done every gamut from dancing to movies to your own series to TV? You've worked with Madonna. You've worked with 1 million people. So you've worked with the top tier talent. You've developed your own projects. What advice do you have for people just starting out, and their attitude, what they need to bring, and just overall?
I think I would say to young people is that, you hear it all the time, and I hate when people say it to me too, but it's a very hard business. I always say anything worth having is hard. But the truth is, it's a very difficult business. There's a lot of rejection. So you just have to really, really want to be an artist, I think, first and foremost. If you're getting into it to be famous or a celebrity, that's something totally different, and I can't really, speak on that. But what I can speak about is knowing deep down in your core that there's nothing else on earth that you want to do, that being an artist is what your life is about, or what brings you joy, then that's what you should be doing. Then you should get into the business. And then once you realize that you love it and you can't live your life without it, then from that point, I think I would tell you to really hone your skills. Don't think that you're beyond class. I mean, there's so much to learn in class, and it's finding great teachers and mentors and people who inspire you as an artist and motivate you. And that's one thing that I've been, I think, really fortunate in, is that I've had really incredible teachers. And I think that's why, as a dancer, I was able to work in LA and New York, and at the time a lot of people weren't doing that. They were either theater dancers or they were commercial dancers or backup dancers. There weren't a lot of people going back and forth. I was really versatile. And the same thing with acting. It's really know your craft so that you can do everything. Don't limit yourself to only wanting to do one thing, because there's so many different facets of the industry that you could explore, and that will stretch you creatively. And so I implore you to just hone your craft. Go to acting class, go to voice lessons, or to dance class, or whatever it is that's your thing. Just really throw yourself into it and be good at it, so that if anything, when you're going to castings and when you're going to auditions, you know that you're doing your best every time, and that's all you can do. That's another thing I would say when you're going to auditions. Give your best every single time, which means prepare. Really know, if you're acting, really know your sides, really know your material. So that when you go in, you can really give yourself over and be in the moment. So that when you leave, if you don't get it, because it's so often it's so often the case that it's not about who gave the best audition. It's about who they see as the character, and physically, or just an aura, an energy that the person brings in. They could not be the greatest actor or give the greatest read, but there's something about them that, to the creative team, that's who the character is. So as an artist, you have to sort of learn to compartmentalize in a way, and sort of be like, okay, if I just focus on the craft and just do the best that I can, then I know that I'm doing the most that I can for that. And then when you walk out of the room, throw the sides in the trash, and you got to forget about it. And what will help you forget about it is when you have your own stuff to do, which I'm just learning now, at 40. But if you can write your own projects, you should. And the internet is a really exciting medium to be working in. There's no gatekeepers, and there's so much amazing things that are happening online and in the web series world. And but even if you're not a writer or director, there's songwriting, there's one-man shows, there's cabaret, there's just the gamut of things that you can explore. But when you have something else to obsess about other than your auditions and your career, everything else, all that stuff, your auditions and your career, just sort of fall into place, and it just opens you up and allows this really great energy flow to happen. And one example of that is when I was up to my eyeballs in Hustling, the web series. I think we were editing, and we had launched the first couple of episodes. I can't remember where we were in the season, but I was so entrenched in my show. And I had an audition. I had a couple auditions for TV things. And I went in and did them and literally forgot about them. Because as soon as I left the room, I was like, oh, back into my world of my stuff and my creating, and that's where all my juices were. And literally, like, a week later, I get a call from my manager, and they're like, oh, you've been approved by the network. I was like, I literally had to think about it for a second, file through what auditions I had gone through. And that was amazing, because without my own project, I just would have sat there obsessing about, okay, the next day, I didn't hear the next day, am I going to hear the next day? Oh, they're, just obsessing crazily in my head about auditions. Mm-hmm. And I ended up booking, a small guest star on the season finale of Homeland, which is a Showtime series that was critically acclaimed and won the Golden Globe, and it was just awesome. And it was really nice. A nice lesson to learn, to really have something else to basically, like I said before, just obsess about other than your career. So I'm sort of rambling and having diarrhea of the mouth. I hope some of the stuff I've been saying has been making sense.
It has. It's been great. Thank you so much, Sebastian.
My pleasure.